My initial reaction to seeing this maps is that it worked, I guess. I mean, if that's what you were trying to do, and you were trying to build fences and corral certain types of people, you've done a nice job, because that, not to the extent that it appears on this paper that you just gave me, very much still exists in this town. Almost every square foot of every building has become desirable. Versus when I was here, there were many empty buildings, empty spaces, places that were for rent that sat unoccupied for years. Your map says it all. I mean, you look at where the lines are drawn. To some extent, those lines are still drawn. I mean, it's not like you're going to go into a neighborhood that in the 30s was redlined with a bulldozer and take down all the structures. So, also historically, and something that's never going to change, is it would cost a whole lot of resources to go in and tear down a neighborhood that has been redlined and is full of businesses and residential homes, to change them into what I guess you would consider the new red line would be. So whether you like it or not, as a city was born, they've sort of already set the tone for how it's going to go. And unless you own a massive construction company with huge bulldozers and resources to just go in and tear down and re-redline it, for the most part, it's just going to take hundreds of years to slowly change. So that being said, this neighborhood, which according to your map was zoned worthy of making an investment into and lists specific types of people who live here, I don't know that it's honestly changed that much. Or I don't know that it can change that much that quickly. I appreciate the enthusiasm and the effort that people are putting into changing things for everyone, but like so many other situations that I have seen amongst humanity, amongst the employees that work for us, and just overall my experience in life, you have certain groups of people out there who just expect everything to change all of a sudden. It just might not be feasible. I mean, let's make the investment. Let's redraw the red lines. Let's take a house that back when was considered a middle to upper income family home that had been let go over the years, and you can almost see the result of that redlining in a historical timeline, which is, well, here's a house that was built for a middle class, middle to upper income family. And then it didn't quite work out how they wanted to. We lost jobs, we lost industry as the historical timeline moves. Well, the necessity that we have now is to turn this single family middle income home into a multiple family lower income home, which took how many years? Since 1930, probably had a boom, and then we're kind of where we are now, which is a resurgence, which is a reinvestment in the community, a reinvestment in the neighborhood, and reinvestment in erasing those red lines and slowly taking what was there and changing the course of the timeline to where the single family homes, the multiple family homes are not as desirable anymore because people have jobs, the economy is different, they can afford those homes. More people want to move here for whatever reason that the city planners and the people who are at least questioning these red lines now, they have made the decision with good intention, versus in the 1930s, we knew a lot less about humanity and how to treat people and how people should be considered equally. That, yes, those red lines exist, but now here we are in a time where the historical timeline might take a sudden move, and it's up to all of us to change the way that we are to get aboard that timeline. Otherwise, we may just be left behind. And whether you think so or not, like I said, those original redliners, that attitude exists. And there are certainly groups of people who have lived through that redlining period and are not going to let it go easily. But as we progress and more people who have been exposed to equality and being part of humanity in a way that you're supposed to be part of it, versus thinking that you can just control everyone financially or through redlining, is going to go away. It might take 100 years, but it's going to go away. I certainly hope that we don't have to focus on this as much as we are now. I hope that all of the infrastructure put in place and the work that goes into unredlining, or at least redefining, I don't want to say redefining the lines, because I don't think the lines should exist. So my hope is that the lines disappear and we don't have to think about why this neighborhood is financially depressed, or why half the buildings in this neighborhood are falling apart and no one wants to invest in them. I just hope that with the makeup of people and financial situations that we have amongst people, allows everyone to thrive in a way that they're capable of thriving. It's very easy. I mean, you know, old people like my dad used to say things like, "Those that pay have the say." And I feel like that just doesn't need to exist anymore, because you don't need to have money to be successful. You need to have money to be successful in a way that historically someone has made you think this is what success is. However, again, thanks to the internet, thanks to people being able to find one another that share common beliefs, I don't think that we need the people who have the money to have the say anymore. Because as we are finding, especially with young people, they just ignore authority figures and they do whatever they want to anyway. I don't know how that's going to turn out, but got to be better than excluding a lot of people unnecessarily for financial reasons, like they did a long time ago. With this situation, you know, a form of waving a magic wand would be someone who has historically been financially successful that takes their wand and says, well, what can I do? Because I involve myself with the group of people who, whether I like it or not, whether it's legacy or not, whether it's financial gain that has been earned at a different time and passed down through generations of family members, those are the people to look out for. So there was a quote from Mr. Rogers when he was in front of the Senate, I believe, trying to get funding for his television show, where he says, back when I used to watch news programs with my mother, and I would be scared because there would be all these things going on and, you know, buildings crumbling and explosives and things like that. And she said, look for the helpers. Always look for the helpers. So you can apply that same mentality that he brought forward back then to today. Where are the people who are helping? Where are the people who are more concerned about bringing everyone with them than they are getting out of there to improve their own situation? Get my hands in the air, but they don't care, 'cause in their heart they just feel fear. You would think it's a sin to have black skin. That's something I can't comprehend. Get my hands in the air, but they don't care.